Hi guys, it's 4-1 right now. We're gonna start off in like a couple of minutes, right? Hi Akilin, hi Pranav, welcome to the stream. There are like six waiting right now. Um, I hope more will join. Yeah, if you guys can listen to me properly and you can see the screen, just type it on the chat, right? So I can see everything. Cool, that's fine because there's sorry. There's like a latency lag kind of thing. So when I speak, and you guys will hear it like about 5 seconds after I speak. So it's almost 4:05. When it is like 4:05, I'll start off the stream exactly at 4:05. So how you guys? How are you guys? Doing good too, dude. Uh, okay. So I guess. uh, best of luck on that, my guy. Okay, so it's what, four something, right? So I think yeah, we can start off the stream, right? So yeah, hello everyone. Today this workshop is on open source intelligence, right? OSINT. I'm pretty sure not a lot of people heard of this term, but it is a really famous one. And after the stream, you probably might be thinking, you probably might want to rethink about everything that you keep on the internet on the public domain. So let's start it off. Uh, about me, my name is Mohit, and I am a computer science student year 3 at the Heriot University Dubai campus. I'm currently part of the design and cybersecurity team at the Heriot Tech Club. Right, that's about me. Now, yeah, I'm gonna start off this stream with the term data, right? Uh, Now, if you guys seen the first stream by Pranav, it's on social engineering, right? Now, so what do you actually, why do you do social engineering, right? You do social engineering to get information, data about a targeted human, individual, or an organization, right? So even today, I'm going to be discussing about how OSINT is going to get you that data using legal sources about targeted individual or a targeted organization, right? So there we go. That's the definition. What is OSINT? Firstly, OSINT is information that is gathered legally from free or open sources, public sources, about a targeted individual or organization. Now, if you guys seen, probably you've probably seen really high sci-fi movies where there's a hacker or a TV show like Mr. Robot, where the people get information, get data using covert operations, right? Covert is a bad way, as in getting data using unauthorized methods, whereas overt is the complete opposite of covert. That is OSINT, right? So OSINT is overt. Overt in the sense you can get information from public sources legally, so it's not illegal. And OSINT is usually done on your own network to actually see what kind of information is put out on the public domain. Now, what is OSINT used for, right? Firstly, usually OSINT is used to understand more about a potential victim, right? To understand his or her characteristics better, right? And also from doing all of this, you can actually find some possible vulnerabilities. In case you guys have any questions throughout the stream, just type it up on the chat. Then I can like see it, right? Okay, I'm not really sure if I've stopped or not. Okay, okay, I'm gonna wait for a while. I'm sorry, I did not see that message. Okay, guys, I'm gonna gonna continue, right? Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. So, how can you protect yourself, right? Now, listening to all of this, and you probably might be thinking, right, how can you protect yourself using these tools, right? Or you don't know what kind of information is put out there on the public domain about yourself, but you did not intend to, but you did keep it somehow. Now, how can you protect yourself? Simple, right? You can use these kinds of tools on yourself to understand what attackers can see about you on the public domain, right? So, like I said, what information you're gifting potential attackers. So that is how you do it, right? So the first thing is there are tons of tools under the OSINT framework, and the OSINT framework is a really wide, a broad one. And I'm going to be showing you something where you can see all the different tools that you can download or use under the OSINT framework, right? So there you go. This is the website, and you can see for different to, there are different tools for different users, for usernames, for instant messaging, social networks, IP addresses, right? It's pretty hard to see right now because there are like tons of tools, but once you can like type this down on Google Chrome or something, and you can actually have a look at all of this, and it's pretty good. They're pretty good documentation for these tools, so you can like download it and then use it on your own computer to test your own organization's network or personal one, right? So that is the website. Okay, so as I said, there are tons of tools under the OSINT framework. I'm going to be focusing on two important tools, which from my research, I felt like it'd be really easy for you guys to learn and understand, to understand the power of OSINT, right? So the first one is Nmap. Now, Nmap, I'm pretty sure if you would have used it or heard it when if you have seen the CTF tutorial by Pia, where Nmap is used briefly, and Nmap is a really powerful OSINT information gathering tool from networks. So the first thing is every all the information is the Nmap gathers a lot of information from all the IPs that are active on your network, right? So firstly, it's going to connect to your network. You're going to be connected to the network, and then you can see all the active IPs. You can see the MAC addresses of the IPs. You can see the names of the IP address. I mean, the computer or phone, whichever is connected, and then you can also see the different ports which are open. I'm going to be showing you exactly what I mean, so it's not that hard. Uh, right, and then yeah, of course, at the end, it's absolutely a valuable tool for users to understand the different users which are connected to your network. Right now, in my previous team, I was talking about hacking Wi-Fi networks. Right, in that is when the person, the attacker or the hacker, is inside a network and he does everything. Right, or not necessarily inside, but by using some tools, you have to be inside the network or you have to be connected somehow. Or suppose you successfully hacked a network and you're inside a network, then when yeah, so sorry, when you successfully hack a network and you're inside it, now mostly the network administrator is the only person who would know who all the legitimate users in the network, right? So using Nmap, you can actually find out the number of users and you can see everyone, only the legitimate people are inside or not, right? So the first thing is how to use Nmap. It's pretty simple to use. Unlike my previous stream where I used a framework where you just type in a letter and click enter and everything works, right? I mean, the whole thing takes care of its own. Unlike that stream, I'm going to be using a command line interface. If you've seen the previous streams, by the tech club, you can see we used a lot of terminal commands, right? So I'm going to be doing the same thing over here. It's a pretty simple thing. So we got to use sudo. Sudo means giving super user access to the command, that is nmap, the application which is going to be running on my computer. And these two are optional arguments. So I'm just going to type it down so that you can actually see it. Right now, I'm connected to my Kali laptop, right? It's right here beside me so that you guys can see. I'm going to do it live. So first thing, I'm going to type in sudo and then nmap. Now, most commands, if you want to know the different types of arguments related to that command, you can just type -h for help and click enter. Of course, the password, and See, great. So you can see that there are it starts off with the version, of course, and then the usage of how do you use Nmap. So Nmap and then the scan type, the options and target specifications. So firstly, you can check out the different scan types that you can do. There are tons of them. I'm gonna be going over the really relatively simple and important ones. Right. So that's how we do it. Right, let's go back to the presentation. Right, so the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is ping scan. Now, if you come from a Windows environment, you probably heard of command prompt and you probably heard of pinging IP addresses or computer names, sorry, websites using ping, right? The major disadvantage of that is, firstly, that's a Windows environment, and secondly, you cannot ping a whole range of IP addresses, right? But using Nmap, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You can do a lot using ping scan itself, right? So you can scan a wide range of IP addresses, or websites, whatever. So I'm just going to start it off right now. So sudo nmap hyphen sn, that is the argument that you're going to relate to for ping scan, and that is the target specification. Target specification is like, yeah, the website name or the IP address of that computer or the network, right? So most IP addresses, I mean, it differs from place to place and network how do you connect to the network. For me, it's 192.168, and for different country it'd be different, right? And then the basic thing is that if you do 192.168.0.0/24, it's going to check all the 256, that's 0 to 255 connected IPs that can be used, and it's going to ping each and every IP to check if it's active or not. So let's do it. Sudo nmap -sn. So we can go down. Wait. So sudo nmap -sn. Wait. 192.168.0.0/24. Okay, so this is going to take some time. So okay, it took time for me before, not right now. So you can see, or as you can see the name, and you can see the IP address, and sometimes you can even see the MAC address, right? So this is really, integral stuff which you don't want to share to the outside world. So this is using ping scan. Now suppose you use the Windows environment. um, Yes, I'm network scanning, correct. So, suppose you're using the ping scan on Windows, you can just do on one IP address at a time, and that is painful, right? You don't want to do that if you're scanning a whole network, because it's my home network. I just have like 5, 6 connected, but if it's an organization, there are tons of them. So the next one is that's ping scan, right? So if you guys have any questions in between, you can just type it down. I can see it over here, right? Because of the latency time, I don't think you will hear it exactly when I say it. So the next one is list scan, right? List scan works similar to the ping scan. I'm just gonna show you guys what it means. So hyphen SL is the extension, you might say. So I'm just gonna go back and SL. Okay, this might take some time. It doesn't take a lot of time, right? Cool. So what this does is, like the name suggests, it produces a list of all the IPs that can be connected, right? Potential ones, and then it's going to show me if there is anyone connected to a specific IP. So you can see from all of this, it's empty. You can just see that there's a report for this IP, but then there's nothing else after that. But over here, you can see my TV is connected to that IP, my phone's connected, my mom's phone, whatever. Everything is connected. So everything that is connected, you can see over here, the IP address. Uh, Right. So, okay. So as you can see, all the connected things you can see is related to the IP address. You can see it right here. Right. Okay. So that's the list. So it's going to show me a list of till 256 because it starts with 0. So it ends with 255. So basically 256. That's the reason I did 0.0/24. Right. So it produces the list. Now let's go up to the next command. This is OS scan, right? This is a really interesting command. So I'm just going to type it down, and then you can see. Now over here, I'm just going to type nmap -o, and I'm going to target my Kali Linux laptop, and I'm just going to show you what I mean. Okay, so OS scan, like the name suggests, is going to show me these things, right? So firstly, it's going to show me the IP address. It's going to show the name of the computer or phone or whatever. Then it's going to show me all the closed ports. Then it's going to show me all the ports which are active and the services that are run on those ports. Now, if you probably might not know why do we use ports, but there are certain ports which are used for certain services. Now, SSH means secure shell, right? What I'm using right now is I'm SSHing into my Kali laptop. So to connect my Kali's terminal onto my Windows computer, to see that I'm using SSH. So port 22 is being used for that. I can see that, right? Now, all this is the legal data. I just pulled it out using legal means. I'm not doing anything illegal. Suppose I am in a network and I'm doing this right on my personal organization network. I can see all of this is legal information. The next one is remote anything. This is for another remote service kind of remote server kind of thing. So like that you can see. And then for OS scan, the main point of it is it shows the device type, it shows the running, it runs on what network, and then of course the OS details and things like that, right? Because it's Kali Linux, it shows me the details like that. Now sometimes you cannot actually, it does not show you the exact operating system that is run on, right? So in that case, nmap actually gives you an honest guess. It gives you like this percent, it's probable, like this computer might be using Linux, might be using maybe it might say, you might be using Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows XP, whatever. It'll give you a really honest guess, and most of the time it's pretty accurate as well. So why do we actually need OS scan? Is suppose a hacker or an attacker is on the network, he can actually find out what kind of operating system that target is using, the targeted device, so he can prepare an attack based on that. Cool. So that is OS scan. Cool. The next one is TCP SYN scan, right? I'm just gonna explain it to you. TCP SYN after I type in the command. So the option argument is -SS right there. Good. Okay, that's pretty fast because I did it some time back. Good. So in this TCP SYN scan is, I hope you guys probably know what TCP is, Transmission Control Protocol. So you use TCP packets to send to that server. In this case, it's my computer, but then usually it's done through the server, and you can get a lot of information from it, right? It's TCP SYN scan, TCP SYN as in synchronous, and I'm just going to explain it in a while. And the next one is TCP connect, right? So TCP SYN and TCP connect, these two are really similar, right? And as you can see, you will see it delivers a similar result, or I mean it's the same result, right? You can see the host is up, the closed ports, all the ports, the IP address, name of the device, all that, right? Now you might ask, why are there two different commands if if it does the same exact thing, right? For you guys to actually understand that, you'll have to understand the concept called three-way handshake. Now, if you guys see my previous stream, you probably know what a handshake means. But for those who didn't, a handshake is basically an authentication procedure that's done between a client and the server, right? Things like that. So it's an authentication process to check if the client is a legitimate client and the server is a legitimate server, and then they are authorized to connect with each other. And there are multiple steps, and in this case, it's a three-way handshake. So three steps. So as you can see, there's a client and then there's a server. The first one, the client informs the server. The client wants to talk to the server, so it informs like, "Hey, can I start talking?" or "Hey, are you there?" And then the server responds, and in response to the information, the server calls back. Yeah, sorry, not calls back. It just responds to the client's information, and then the server's like, "Hey, do you want to continue talking?" And then the client acknowledges this response from the server, and then the connection is completed. So the three-way handshake is completed, and they start communicating, right? Whatever happens after that. Now, why is this related to TCP SYN and TCP connect? So the first thing is that TCP SYN actually completes the first two procedures, right? TCP SYN, that's it. So it informs and the server responds, but the client does not acknowledge back. It does not acknowledge back. So the three-way handshake is never completed. So the server does not know I mean, it's not recorded anywhere that the client and server are communicating because the authentication never happened. That's TCP SYN. So you're doing it in a passive way. You're getting the same information in TCP SYN and TCP connect, but then in this case, it's taking almost similar time. See, as you can see, even in time purpose, TCP SYN takes 0.16 seconds and TCP connect takes 0.08 seconds, right? Pretty fast because I'm using a computer which is like in the same network, and it's pretty close to me. But but if I do it to another computer, or if I do it, I tested out this a couple of times, so it's pretty fast. But then if I'm doing it to a range of computers, of course it would take a lot of time, right? So because I'm doing connect, the three-way handshake is completed in TCP connect. That's the reason it's pretty fast. And also it's an active connection. The server and the client, the server knows that the client is talking to the server, right? So TCP send and TCP connect. I hope you guys understood that concept. Okay. All right. Now, just apart from all these scripts, I mean, sorry, apart from these scan types, you can actually run certain scripts on Nmap using Nmap, right? Or you can use scripts which is already given by the Nmap framework. But suppose you are pretty advanced and you want to make your own scripts, you sure can do that. You can make your own scripts and run it against Nmap. I mean, using Nmap against any other target. So in this case, you're doing a script vulnerability, right? You're running a vulnerability scan against the target IP address, right? So zero whatever that is, right? So usually running vulnerability scripts takes a lot of time. So that's the reason I ran it a long time back, and I'm just gonna show you the screenshot, right? So over here, usually, suppose it actually finds the computer vulnerable, it'll show me that the hosts are up and it's vulnerable, and it checks out the different ports which are open, and it tries to run the script. Now, if when it runs the script, if it's in this case, none of them are vulnerable and something happens, so the execution failed. But then not in all times, it does not happen all the time, right? So as you can see, if I test this out on my network on my computer, I can actually see that my computer is not vulnerable for any outsider attacks. Yep. So that is script one. So that's that. And then yeah. So that's target specification, like I said previously. Right. Now, suppose you're doing like 100 commands a day, obviously with particular delays in between, and then you just look at this report is pretty big, right? But in my home network, there are like 5 or 6 people connected, but then 5 or 6 devices connected, but then if it's an office or a building Wi-Fi, they're like, I'm pretty sure most of it is filled up, right? But then you don't want to keep it on this terminal window, you want to save it somewhere for later purposes. So then you can use this extension hyphen o capital N to save it on any file. So I'm just using xyz.txt here, and when you do that and you run the command, it works exactly the same, but in your desktop wherever you want to save, it shows you the same thing is printed into a text file, and it stays there for later purposes, of course. So that is Nmap. As you can see, I just showed you, some really small ones. I'm sorry, I showed you some really basic uh, tools using Nmap. There are tons of others, and if you research into it, really interested into it, you can actually search all of them, right? So if you guys have any questions in between, you can just type it, right? Like I said. Okay, that's great. You guys understood. Perfect. Now, as you can see, I'm gonna go to the second tool in this workshop. That is called MetaGofill, right? So MetaGofill is not actually, it's not even similar to Nmap. It gets information, like metadata information, from your target, but not exactly your target. It Suppose you're connected to a server, and then you want to get more information about your server, but then you're not actually actively connected, you're not in the network, right? You're not in that network, but you want information. You can use MetaGofill to pull out any files, right? PDF files, XML files, PPT files, whatever. You can just pull it out, and all of that information is publicly available. But then you usually don't, if you like search, go into a website, you don't usually go to every section of the website and check if there's a presentation there so that you can download, right? But but MetaGoofle actually does all of that for you. Suppose you type in a website name, a domain, and then you click enter. It's just going to run the whole time. It's going to find out, okay, if I type in I want a PDF, right, in a span of 10 minutes or whatever, and I want 10 PDFs. I just put that command, and it's going to search for 10 PDFs. And then when you get that PDF, it's going to be stored in your computer, of course, and then you can extract metadata from it. Now, from most people don't know what that is, but whenever you get a file, whatever you see is just not the end of it, right? There are a lot of things beneath it. Now, from an email, you can find the IP address. Suppose the IP address of a person who sends email from checking the header file of an email, right? So they're very different things that from a file that you can get from a file. So over here, like I said, you can suppose various different file types, and then you're gonna be amazed. It can actually do on all the different three-digit file extensions. There are about 17,000 odd file extensions with three digits. Oh, sorry, three letters, and it can do all of that for you. But then it's gonna take a lot of time. Right, from all of this, at the end, you can extract MAC addresses. So that's gonna be the end product. So I'm just gonna show you how to use MetaGoofle. Right. So cool. Like I said, you can just type in -h to see all the different arguments that you can see under the MetaGoofle framework. So I'm just going to do that. So sudo. Um, you know what? I'm just going to connect to my. Just a minute. Cool. Okay, so I don't see. Oh my god. Good. I hope you guys can see this tab, right? I cannot see your questions right now. I'll see it later because I'm connected. I'm actually seeing my Kali Linux laptop. Right. So first thing, I'm just gonna type in sudo, like I said, metagoofle -h. Right. The password. Okay. Great. So again, it's going to show me the usage of how to use MetaGoofle. It's a Python file. Now, I'm using Kali Linux, so MetaGoofle and NMAP, all that is pre-installed. But then if you're using a different distribution of Linux or maybe even Windows, you can actually install it. You can install a MetaGoofle or NMAP. You can, if you have Python installed on your Windows computer, you can actually run the script. It's pretty easy. And yeah, so the first thing you need these option arguments. If you do not understand this, it's going to actually show me what each of this additional argument is. So it's going to show me what MetaGoofle is. So it says search and download a specific file type. Okay. Now there are different argument types: H for help, D for domain, E for delay, and then a lot of others. I'm just going to show you all the different argument types, so that you can understand why are we using that, right? So the first thing is this one. Cool. Unlike an nmap where you use like one argument or one specific type for for one command, I'm going to use all the different optional arguments under the framework so that you can get results, right? This is how it works. So the first thing is a -d, where you type in a domain. So this time I'm going to use github.com, right? That is, I'm pretty sure most of you must have heard of github.com. And what this command is going to do is it's going to pull out PDFs. I'm going to use PDFs as the reason. It's going to pull out PDFs and from the website, which are declassified, of course. So I'm just going to type it down on my computer. So then I will explain, because that's a bit easier, because this takes some time to run. So metagoofle d is www.github.com. The next one is -o. Okay, just a minute. For that, I'm just going to cd into my desktop, right? Because it's going to be saved on my desktop. So sudo metagoofle -d, that's domain, github.com, and then comes, sorry, hyphen o. That's stream. I mean, it's just a folder name, okay? So it doesn't matter. You can just put in any folder name. Then there's hyphen l, which is the number. Okay, t10, and t is PDF. Okay, I'm just gonna run it, and then I'm gonna show you exactly what each of them means. Okay, so first thing is sudo metagoogle. You probably know what that means, and then hyphen d is domain, right? The domain from where you want to pull files, and then hyphen o explains, right? Hyphen o explains the output file, right? So where do you want to save this? Save all of this PDFs. Where do you want to save it? And it's going to be streamfi folder name. I'm going to specify it. That's the reason I cd cd into desktop, as in you're guiding your terminal window to the desktop. So I cd into my desktop, and that is the folder name streamfi. And then it shows the number of PDFs that I want to download, right? The default is 100, but it takes a lot of time, so I put in 10. I specified 10. In case you don't specify hyphen l, it just takes default of 100, and it's going to show me 100 of them, right? Right, and then comes the number 10, that is the, like I said, number of search results, and then the file type. I'm just going to show you over here the file type. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, that's great. It'll take a lot of time, so I'm just going to show you. Over here, hyphen T is a file type. So file types to download. So PDF, doc, XLS, that is Excel sheet, PowerPoint, ODP, ODS, blah blah blah. There are a lot of file types, and you can see there's 17,576 three-letter file extensions. If you type all, it's going to do all of that. So it starts off with AAB, AAC. There are like there's so many file types I don't even know, like 90% of them or 95% of them. So there are you can do this. Obviously, there are time constraints. That's the reason I took PDF. I just took PDF, and then it pulled out a file for me. Now the next one is, these are some extra arguments which I did not use. Now what do they mean? The first thing is delay. Right. This explains exactly, in a beautiful manner. So delay in seconds between searches. If it's too small, Google may block your IP, and if it's too big, the search may take a while. So default is 30 seconds. Now what does this mean? Is that usually whatever I'm doing, it's a bot, right? A bot is running the script on google.com, on Google, and Google is smart enough to identify if a bot is running on its search engine, right? That's not supposed to be done. But then bots are smarter. You can actually, this does is it takes a default of 30 seconds between different searches, so that Google does not actually identify this as as a suspicious traffic, and it just passes as if it's normal traffic, right? And then that's the reason it says if it's too small, Google may block your IP, and if it's too big, Google won't notice. But then, of course, it'll take a lot of time, right? So it's a default 30 seconds, which is perfect in this case. So I just put that, and then all this saves the HTML links to the text file wherever, and then yeah, URL timeout. It basically means number of seconds to wait before the timeout. Suppose there are pages, and which has broken links, or broken link as in you can't. There is a URL specified, but then you can't access it. And then if there's something else, some other problem with that URL, it just sends information for every 15 seconds and then stops, right? It just goes to the next URL wherever. And then search max, like I said, hyphen L. So maximum results search is 100. Of course, 100 with 30 seconds default time takes a lot of time. That's the reason I took 10 over here. So I specified hyphen L. So in case you don't specify hyphen E or hyphen L or hyphen I, it's going to take the default time, right? So in this case, it actually pulled out a file. But you might ask, I specified 10, but then it only took one. Now, of course, if 10 PDFs are not found, of course, it's going to pull out all the PDFs that are available. And in this case, maybe there are more PDFs, but with the time limit that I gave, maybe it couldn't find. Later, it could actually find it out. Now, let's see from a PDF what I was talking about. So it is in StreamFrame, and this is the PDF. I open it, and then all this is probably gibberish to us, doesn't make any sense, but then it was on github.com. right? So from here, what usually normal people see is just this file, right? So this file, if you go to github.com, you might never find this file, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's not on the navigation menu itself, but then it's somewhere inside embedded in the file. Now, most people don't know this, but then on Linux, it's over here using this PDF reader. There is a properties, but then if you're on Windows, there's a file button over here, and then you can go to properties. And here you can actually see the author, the producer, the application which is used, the creator, when it was created, 1997, then again when it was modified, and then all this additional data, and then even the different fonts, right? Now, as you can see, all this you don't actually see it when you open the PDF, right? All this is advanced additional properties. Now, because it's a PDF file, you can see all these. Maybe if it wasn't, maybe if it was an XML file, you can get way more metadata, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This data is metadata. So it is data about some other information, right? So that is the PDF that I pulled. Now, if I use a different website, I can get way more information, or maybe I will never get any information. That is, if the what do you say, the website does not store PDFs, but it stores something else. You can actually find out more information, right? So that is MetaGoofle. Let me check if you guys have any questions. That is cool. Cool. So you guys don't have any questions. I hope you guys understood it. Right. So it's MetaGoofle, guys. Now in this place, suppose you don't want to cd into the directory in stream behind stream fee, you can just put in the folder name where you want to store, like desktop, whatever, and then put in an additional folder name for it, and that is MetaGoofle, right? So if you guys have any questions in between, you can, I mean, right now, about any of this in map of MetaGoofle, just type it down on the chat. I can see it. And another thing, uh, this stream, I don't know how long it took, right? But I didn't want the stream to go for a long time. That's the reason I just took two tools. But as you can see from the OSINT framework website, there are like tons of other tools. So you can research on them. And in case you guys have any questions about this workshop or anything in in the OSINT framework, you can send a mail. This mail ID. That's my mail ID. So that's about it, guys. Thank you for coming. See you guys in the next one.